Welcome to The Growth Equation. This isn't your typical business podcast. We're keeping it real about the challenges of scaling up, period. I'm Tristan Wright and I've been there. I've built and scaled my own business. I've sold it. I've learned a ton along the way. Now I'm bringing you the no BS stories of founders who are in the trenches right now, navigating that messy middle. We're talking advertising, marketing, design, creative, branding, the whole 9 yards. Doesn't matter if you're a solopreneur or running a team of 100. Everyone's got a secret sauce, that thing that makes them different, better. We're going to uncover it. So grab a coffee and let's get real. Today we're talking to Steven from Picos. Steven, welcome, mate.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
I'm super excited to talk to you. We've had a couple of good conversations, both in person and via email over the last couple of weeks. So I reckon today's going to be a good podcast.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It'll be good.
Tell us a bit about your business and your journey, mate. So we know it's Picos, but what do you guys do?
Yeah, absolutely. So essentially we are a performance marketing agency for e-commerce brands. I started the business about 7 years ago and we specialize now in email marketing. We do ad creatives and we do meta ads. So essentially those three, and we also do a bit of photography and videography. I'm a photographer, so that kind of comes into play.
When I first met you, you were in your photography studio.
Yeah, I was in the studio. So now I'm in my podcast space. So it looks good here. But essentially, we look at the ad creatives as being the important way to send your message and tell your message to the world. We use Meta to put it in front of the right people, to get them to come to your site. And then we use email to kind of nurture them and capture them as another touch point. And it becomes a really beautiful loop for e-commerce brands to try and grow and scale profitably.
Awesome. When you say e-commerce, are we talking small e-commerce, large e-commerce? What?
Yeah. But our kind of like target market or our sweet spot is kind of e-com brands that are doing anywhere between like 50,000 to 250,000 a month. We find that that's a spot where, you know, it's a challenge to get to 50 or 100K a month, but you can do it without extremely sophisticated tools. And then we can kind of come in and really sophisticate it. We can take it up a level. We can create better creatives. We can build out better emails. We can nurture your customers better and come in with the sophistication that we have of working with other brands and other businesses and can come and help you take it to that next spot. And we found for us that's been a really good sweet spot.
Is it brands, or is there a difference between brands and businesses, or businesses that sell multiple brands?
There is a bit of a difference, definitely, when it comes like your strategy and your audience and the way that we do it. For us, the way that we would go around it, it would be quite similar. But most of our businesses we work with are brands. We either work directly with like a CEO or a head of marketing that's very involved, and it's normally a smaller team, or they have a marketing department and we're directly talking to them. It depends on the scale, but that's normally who we kind of are chatting to.
Yeah, nice. Now, that's where your business is now. Where did you start out?
Yeah, so I've had an interesting journey. So I started Picos when I was 23, and essentially my dad had a spare desk at his office, and I was like, cool, I'm going to set up a desk. I had my camera, I had my computer already, and I'm a photographer, and I started doing social media marketing for hospitality brands, was essentially where we started. And I have a very cute dog, and I made her an Instagram account. It's called Maddie the Foodie. It still exists. I don't really post on it anymore. And essentially, I would take her to all of the best cafes around town and take photos of her with the food. And then I'd take photos of the food. And it was really unique. It was quite different. I'd put her on the chair. She'd sit there and be all cute and just kind of like smile. And basically what I would do is take 50 photos, send them 10 for free, and then say, if you'd like the other 40, this is how much it costs. And oh, by the way, I also can run your social media. And here's some success stories. And I had a whole PDF. But my in was, I'll come take some free photos with my dog. And essentially that's how I won, I'm going to say, my first 20 clients. And I had no idea really how to charge. I knew how to run socials. I knew how to create content. And this was 7 years ago, Instagram. So it was a bit of a different landscape than what it is today. But it worked really well. And I hired my first staff member after about 2 weeks because copywriting is not my skill set. So I hired a copywriter. She wrote all of our copy for all of the posts. I did all the strategy, and then just kind of hired and grew and built it kind of from there. And at the beginning, we basically were an agency that was like a full service agency. If someone was going to pay us to do something in the world of marketing, I'd work out how to do it, give it a crack, and try my best. And I think one of our values that we live by still even today is sign it with pride. And I would just make sure that every single thing I did, I would be able to sign that piece of work with pride and hand it over confidently. And we kind of just grew from there, and a lot of referrals. And that was kind of the process.
Yeah, awesome. So you built the business out of a passion effectively. So
Definitely.
feed your dog, social media.
Yeah.
It's one thing being good at what you do, but it's another thing running a business.
Yeah.
So hiring, firing,
Yeah.
processes, policies. How did you find that in the early days?
Yeah, we just didn't do it. To be honest, like I make jokes that I say probably the first 3 to 4 years, we were kind of just like having fun. I thought I was running a business, but it's like extremely different to what Pickoffs looks like today. After about 6 months, I ended up renting an office space. We built out a team. I had other mates that were entrepreneurial. They came and worked from the office, and we kind of just were, we were making money. Things were working well. I could afford to pay my staff, but at the same time, like I was living at home. My expenses were really cheap. Like I didn't really have that many problems. And then, as we started to grow and as we started to kind of develop and had more staff members, I got up to like 10 staff at one point. And there was just a lot, there was a lot going on. There was a lot of people. The payroll got really high. Expenses got really high. Things became more serious. And I started to kind of feel a few of those growth pains that were kind of coming through. I still loved it. And I still really enjoyed what I was doing every day, which I think is really a blessing and like a massive benefit of pursuing something that you genuinely love doing. But yeah, it got really hard. And I think that essentially what ended up happening was I started to understand the industry better. I started to understand our customers better and what it was that they actually needed and what it was that they actually wanted. And I think that there is 100% a space for organic social media, beautiful imagery, photography, videography. But for the type of clientele that we were working with, it didn't really move the needle. And it wasn't helping them really achieve their bigger business goals. And I wanted to be able to be the guys that could come in and really help someone achieve their life goals, right? Like to get to a certain revenue, to be able to build a business, to be able to live their life that they want to have. Eventually where we got to is we moved away from being a creative agency to being more of a performance-led agency. I wanted to be able to say, we made X amount of emails, or we made X amount of ads, and we ran X amount of dollars of ad spend, and this is the return that we got, and this is how we can scale, and this is how we can grow. And
so you need to outcome focus.
Yeah, more outcome focus, and still make beautiful designs and beautiful imagery and content, and build the brand and the brand salience throughout the whole thing. And like that's super important to me, and I think it's important to building a brand. But at the same time, let's also make some money, right? And I think that was the big shift that really happened, and that was where we ended up having a lot of our, I would say, issues, but also like rewards. So my team, which were fantastic and really, really good at what we were offering, I now basically was like, well, we're not doing social media anymore, and we're not going to be doing all these organic pieces of things. We're going to be now focusing on performance. And I had this whole team of amazing creatives, and I said, now you got to do performance. And I had the right people in the wrong seats, right? People just they were willing and they were trying, but we just weren't getting there, right? And I had to make really big, tough decisions. That was when things got serious, right? Like I had to let people go, which I'd never done before. And I remember like I'd had people leave, but I never let anyone go. And I remember the first time I did it, like I had to like build myself up for like an hour beforehand. I almost like cried during it. Like I felt so bad. But I just knew that I needed to make that decision to grow the business, to move to that next spot and really help customers. And then unfortunately, I had to do it a couple of times, and we went down back to a team of 3. And I now have built it back up to a team of 8, but with a very different model, very different people, different backgrounds, different stories, different abilities, more performance-based people who also have a creative mindset, but different types of people now with a different offering, which was huge. And that was honestly we were a team of 3 in January. It's now May. So, right, it was, we had 4, went to 3, and we were starting the year strong and all excited and ready to go. And then, we had to really push hard to get back and to be able to deliver. And I wanted to make sure that we could deliver everything we promised our clients we were going to be able to do. So the team really came together, and we've now back to a team of 8. But it looks really different to how it was before. We're now 4 local people in Melbourne and 4 offshore people, which is a really big transition for me. It's very different.
Like managing onshore staff versus offshore staff, onboarding onshore staff versus onboarding offshore staff is totally different, managing them.
Yeah, it really is. And I'm a big onshore fan, right? Like I run Pickoffs, which is the marketing agency, but then I also run another business, which is a co-working space. It's called Yellow Desk. And it's like a co-working space for creatives. I'm sitting in it right now. And I built this space about 3 years ago because I am such an office person and such a team person. And I wanted to have an epic creative space that people could come into and work from and feel proud of and be passionate about. And now when half the team's not here, it feels a little bit weird. And you log on, you come in the morning, and we have our team of 4 that sit here in our pod. And it's great. And we love the team and everyone's amazing. And then I've got a whole nother team overseas, which just kind of like feels weird, You need
to put a couple of screens up on the wall, so and then have a camera so everyone can see each other.
Have them on FaceTime the whole time. I've considered it, but it felt a bit cyborgy. It was a bit weird.
Some businesses do that, believe it or not.
I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen photos of it. It seems crazy, but like maybe who knows? Like, I'm a big believer on like, let's give something a go. Let's see how it works. Let's assess it. Go back, try again. And like, if you fail, whatever, just like go again.
Yeah. A couple of weeks ago, we were talking about you were just starting to onboard a few new offshore staff members, and we talked about how you were doing it, and you were really, really confident in your processes.
Yeah.
And I'm putting you on the spot here. This morning you said we totally redesigned everything.
Yep, pretty much. Yeah. So I would say that we're a pretty process-led company, right? We have a lot of processes, a lot of systems that are in place. And I'm okay at systems. I would say that I'm very fortunate. I have an excellent head of operations who is amazing at systems. He's very technical. He's also a web developer. So, all of these things that come into place is really his bread and butter. And, he's gone through and completely re-looked. We use as much tech and software as we can. And we're on Slack, and we use Monday for like all of our tasks. And we rebuilt every Monday board, every template, every Monday board. The way that we were doing it was so different because I could no longer just like turn to my left and just talk to that person because they were overseas, and sometimes they're available, they weren't available, or they're working in a different time zone. And so I needed to make sure that everything was easily accessible. Everything was online. Everything was easy to download. Everything was easy to find. And now we pretty much only use Slack. We have like our office banter channel, which is just like fun to chat in. But unless there's a win or an update or something that can't be communicated via Monday, it's now all in Monday.
That's pretty much best practice.
Yeah. Where before, like, I'm not as client facing anymore, which I find, is another challenge that I've had to work through, being client facing my whole life. And it's weird. I liked it being on Slack because I could just message, see what was going on, and being aware of everything. Now I don't get tagged in anything, so I don't always know exactly where it's going on. So when we have our Monday morning whips, I'm like really listening because I need to know where every project's at and what's happening. And I'm asking the questions. But that's also been a huge transition. When the first couple of years, I'm going to say almost until a year and a half ago, I knew where every client was, what every project was up to, where we were going. I was that last point of contact before it hit anyone. Like if I hadn't approved it, I was the bottleneck to send it out. And I think that I was really protective over like everything. And if it wasn't up to my standards, it wouldn't be up to the client standards. I think letting go of that, one, was really challenging, but was probably the best thing that I could have ever done.
That's the first step of removing yourself from daily operations.
Yeah. It's just really hard, like from going from the guy that's the doer and the person that was designing things and editing things and making things and, knowing every client back to front to being, I still know it, but I'm just a little bit more removed.
Mm.
And I have an extremely capable team that's excellent at doing it. That honestly, like, you don't want me designing your stuff anymore. Like, sure, I studied it at uni and I learned it and I've done it for years, but like my team is way better at it.
Yeah, your role is to empower and lead your team.
Yeah, which is awesome. I really enjoy it. And it's been a big shift.
That's awesome. I want to go back a couple of steps. You said in the early days that it was everything was a bit of fun and you're making money and you're able to pay staff. When was the first time you realized that you needed to track your expenses, create a budget, understand your margins?
Yeah. I think we were always doing it, but just doing it pretty poorly. So we've always had an accountant. We've always, had Xero and done it that way. And I'd have like an annual finance meeting. Now we do it monthly. We go through it and it's a much more organized. I think, to be honest, it got to a point where it was probably way too late. We were about 6 months in and I realized for the last 6 months I hadn't made a profit. And that not only had I not made a profit, that my wage bills was about 80, 90 or 100% of my revenue. And I kind of knew, kind of didn't know. I kind of was ignoring it. I was extremely optimistic and I was like, I'm just going to go hard on biz dev. I'm going to go find all these new clients. I'm going to win. Just keep the team. It'll be fine. Like, it's not a problem. And I think I got about 6 months in and I was like, okay, this is a problem. The bank account can't keep this going. I can't just be, it's not really a business if I'm just paying for everyone to be having a good time, And I actually went to my brother. I'm very fortunate that my family is all very entrepreneurial. I'm the youngest of 4. And I went to my brother and I asked him for some help. And I just said to him, look, like, my business, what's going on. I'm not, it's not a nicety. I'm genuinely here. Like, can you help me? Like, I want advice. And that was probably my first step in learning and understanding the power of mentorship and the power of advice and the power of working with others. And he basically is like, more than happy to help you, but I need you to go and read this book first. And I was like, okay. I don't really read books, but okay. It was called Traction.
I was about to say it's either E-Myth or Traction or Rocket Fuel.
Yeah. So it's called Traction. And I went on a holiday. I took the book with me and it sounds really bad, but it was probably the first full book I read since like year 12. I'm not a big reader. And I loved it. I couldn't put it down. I was like, this is so smart. Like, it's so much better than the way we're doing it now. I came back and I basically isolated myself in a room for 3 days and became the integrator. I set up my VTO. I went through my plans. I looked at my 1, 3, 10-year plan. I went through all of this stuff and I came out and I felt so much more prepared to kind of take on this business. And that was about 2 years ago. And now we have like our weekly pulse meeting and we have our rocks and everything. And we run EOS as a business.
Awesome.
And it's unbelievable. If I could give any advice, is read that book.
Yeah.
It's really excellent.
Yeah, it is. The whole EOS system has changed so many businesses.
Yeah. So I ended up joining EO as well. So I'm in EO Accelerator. I'm in the Australian group. So I have my forum and my meetings that I go to once a month. And I've been involved for almost 2 years now. And it's awesome. And it's a really great program. And again, as I said, like, going to my brother was that first stage of that understanding the power of mentorship, and then going and being in EO, being surrounded by these other business owners, just like the power of understanding and listening to what other people have to say and being able to hear their experience shares. Similar to, being on this podcast, right? Like, it's an experience share that is happening, and it's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a couple of my clients are in the EO Accelerator as well, and it makes a massive difference just being able to talk to others and learn from others.
Yeah, it's been awesome. It's been really good.
So you spoke to your brother. He said, "Go and read this book."
Yeah,
read the book. Did he get involved much after that, or was that book enough to help you pretty much?
Yeah, he definitely does. We meet up quarterly and go through things, and he kind of is helping me guide. And he's just a really smart guy, and he's really helpful and really able to. He's 8 years older than me, and he's just further down the track, and is able to provide me with some of that insight. So I think that's really been very beneficial.
So he's got his own business as well.
Yeah, he does. Like a property finance business. So a completely different world. But what I'm learning with all of this, and Traction's a good example of it, is every business is very similar. Like there's so many different areas, and you just kind of need to go through those steps. And he's just a couple of steps ahead. So
Yeah.
it's
Like
great.
at the end of the day, the framework and the skeleton of most businesses are similar.
Yeah.
So just how you skin it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been really, really good.
Yeah. Awesome. So you got to 10.
Yep.
And how long ago were you at 10?
Probably a year and a bit ago.
Okay, so you were at 10 and then you deliberately scaled back down, or did work drop off? How did that look?
Probably a mixture of both. It was definitely very deliberate. It was a very intentional decision that was very difficult to make. But at the same time, I think like our work didn't necessarily drop off. Our revenue is actually quite similar, but we weren't getting as many leads. So we weren't, my forecast wasn't so good. And I had plans and ideas of ways to kind of fix it. And, I have fixed it, and we're back and we're happy and we're good. But I just knew it was going to take some time. And I also just knew the people that we had, unfortunately, weren't going to be the people that we needed to really make this shift. And I think it was the main shift as well was we went from an agency that offered 12 services, which is pretty much all of them, to offering 3 really good ones. So, we just didn't need the people that were there. We didn't necessarily need as many people. So yeah, it was definitely very intentional, but it was also, as I said, we weren't making money, and I needed to make some big shifts. And unfortunately, when your wage bill is 89, you're 100% of your expenses, everything else on top of it, you're just losing money every month and you can't sustain it.
Yeah, it should be about half of that kind of thing.
Yeah, I learned that now.
Yeah. Did you ever go into debt, or was there ever a time that you couldn't make payroll or pay suppliers?
Luckily, no. I didn't have that, but I had to, go into my personal savings to do it. It wasn't only coming from the Picos account anymore. And I really believed in myself, and I believed in the business, and I believed in our offering, and I was willing to do that. And luckily I was able to do that. So I did, and I'm happy that I have, but it was tough, and it was hard to, see that savings account go down when you're working as hard as you possibly can, and you're waking up early and you're staying back late and you're working, and the savings just goes down and down, and it starts to really affect you. Like after 5-6 months, honestly, it was probably more months as well than that. But yeah, it's hard. And to be able to keep pushing through is a real mental battle.
How did you have people around you to support you through that time? Like obviously you would have been speaking to your brother.
Yeah.
Were you part of the EO system at that stage, or?
Yeah. Yes, I had a lot of people. My whole family is extremely supportive and really helpful with all of this, which is awesome. Sometimes they're annoying, but most of the time they're helpful, so it's good. No, I've really leaned into mentorship, advice, asking for help. I think that sometimes you try and be really proud, and you try and do things yourself, and you think it's the only way to go forward. And I've just learned really quickly that it absolutely could not be more wrong.
Treat mentorship, coaching these groups as a cheat code.
Yeah. Like, it's just a great way to get a good insight, to be able to see really what's going on. And sometimes, like entrepreneurship in general is quite isolating. I'm really fortunate as well that my closest mates, quite a few of them, are entrepreneurial. And that's somewhat on purpose by design, and also just a coincidence, it just kind of happens. And I love that I have that friendship group that I can talk to. But at the same time, I like to be able to go to people that don't really know me. They're not biased. They're not worried that, I'm not going to want to go in for a breakfast with them on Saturday morning if they tell me that I'm doing something wrong. They don't really care. They just want to help.
Yeah, they're like there's a monetary transaction, and at the end of the day, all they care about is helping you improve your business, because if they can help you improve your business and yourself, they keep getting paid.
Correct.
So there's a
it's cool. It's an interesting kind of dynamic that happens there. I think that it's quite different.
Yeah.
I think I'm now in a really good spot where I've got a bit of all of them. And I now have built out my network enough that I have enough people I can call depending on what my issue is, which is
Interesting. So you don't have a single, let's say, coach. You've got different experts in different areas.
Definitely. So
Tell me
EO,
how that structure looks.
yeah, so I'm part of EO, and then I'm also part of another program, which is called the Agency Mentor Program. And I've been part of that for a little while as well now, which is very agency specific. It's a really great program, and it's like they have basically it's this guy Cormac. He's up in Queensland, ran an agency called Dunk. He built it up and offers very similar stuff to what we offer. And he built up this excellent business to a point where he's now exited that business and is now coaching people.
Mm.
And what I really like about the agency mentor and where it's helped me a lot with is that it's extremely specific to agencies. It's like, this is my exact process. This is how we did it. This was our setup. And like, he puts everything on a silver platter, and there's like 100 or something videos that he's recorded that are like 45 minutes long. They have, I think, 3 meetings a week that you can join on Zoom with him and other coaches, and you can meet other agency people. And it is normally smaller agencies. Like, I think his target is 10,000 a month trying to grow kind of thing.
Yeah, okay.
But I still get heaps of value from it. And even though being one of the bigger agencies on there, I also like it as an opportunity to try and give my experience shares back to other people, but also get good frameworks from him and other people on the call. So I have like the agency mentor, I have EO, I have just other entrepreneurs and successful business owners that I call. We've got a coach. There's like a whole variety of different people, and like it's great. It's been a key to the success, I'd say.
Do you ever find that you've got too many pieces of advice coming in?
For sure. Yeah, that was also something that was interesting. And I think I got to a point, and this is, real honesty kind of coming out, where I kind of had a little bit of self-doubt, like I built up this business, I changed all this stuff. We then weren't profitable. We had all these things that were going on. And it was me making all those decisions, right? Like, you get the highs and you get the lows as the business owner. And I got to a point a little bit where I didn't believe in myself. I was like, I'm not actually sure. Maybe I can't do it. Like maybe I'm just not the guy that's meant to do this. And I think actually going and having so much advice, I kept trying to, instead of taking the advice and interpreting it and giving my own output, I would just do exactly what they said, right? So if someone was like, oh, I recommend that you should run this email, I would just like copy and paste that email, and I was like, well, if this guy did it and he was successful, it'll probably work for me too, right? And I could not, after a while, I worked out that was just wrong. And I was taking it as go copy this person rather than as an experience share, interpreting that myself, trying to work out how I want to present that insight, and then putting that out to the world. And once I built up that self-belief again, and I was able to take in that information, I could then put that back out in the world. Yeah, it's been awesome. I think that I've gotten better now at understanding what's good information, what's bad information, how to kind of process all of that.
How to apply it to yourself.
Yeah. And I think that was a huge learning as well to go through, because advice is good, but you need to be able to interpret it,
Yeah, there's a lot of people who end up going out and getting advice from 3, 4, 5 different people.
Yeah.
And then it's all conflicting information. So they don't know what to do almost. So they either deploy it all or have analysis paralysis.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is kind of where I got to. So, it's really interesting.
Yeah. So I'm glad you've learned that kind of thing. So
yeah,
you need to be continually learning, but you need to also understand what to ignore or what to put to one side.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I think just having that belief in yourself as well, I think is really important. Like wherever you are in your business, like you got yourself there, like there are things you can learn. Every resource is out there. If you want to learn it, you can. You now have the power of AI as well, which is unbelievable. It's just more opinions and more things to come through. But if you can work out how to kind of digest all of it and then believe in yourself that you can make that right decision, I think is so important.
Yeah. That belief has to be grounded in reality as well.
Definitely.
So you can't just do what you did in the early days and
believe that, you're going to get more sales, you need to have a strategy, a roadmap, a plan.
Definitely. Yeah, it's important.
So
I still think that you got to dream big. Like, you can't have a plan and it's like, I'm going to grow by 5% next year and I'm going to just go stable. Like, that's also boring. Like, you gotta go hard and you got to see what you can produce.
Yeah, very, very much so. What's something that you wish you knew earlier in business? Like, let's say you could get a cheat code and apply that cheat code to your business 3 years ago.
Yeah, interesting. I think it would probably have to be the importance of your team. I think that you get to a point where you realize you can't do everything. You're not the person that does everything. You're not the only representation of your business. You're not the only one talking about it. And eventually you're going to get to a point where you can't do everything, right? And over the 7 years, I've had some unbelievable staff and I've had some not so unbelievable staff, and understanding how to hire those people, how to guide those people, how to mentor those people, how to try and get the best out of them to build a team of A players who are all amazing at what they do is so powerful, right? Because I need to be able to focus on what I need to focus on, and I need to be able to focus on the things that, bring me the most joy, where I'm the key player, that I can really provide the most value. And I need to find people that fit into their slots and it's the right person in the right seat for that job. And it's been the most probably invaluable thing, that how powerful good staff can be. And I've been really lucky to have some amazing staff and still have some fantastic staff that really push our team forward, which is epic.
So in short, invest in your team.
Yeah.
And build the correct team around you.
Yeah. And I think in the recent years, I've learned the value of experts versus kind of generalists as well, as an interesting one when it comes to those people. And potentially, if you're kind of looking at two different people and one's a bit cheaper and that fits with your budget, but one's maybe a bit more expensive but is really good, and you could see that person being able to push you further forward, you have to weigh it up and make sure that it makes all sense financially. But often I would say go with the person with more experience, go with the person that fits your team, that fits your values, that fits the company better, even if they cost a little bit more, because in the long run, they're probably going to give you a better outcome.
Yeah, it might hurt for the first couple of months, but they're going to help the business so much more ongoing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
I'd say that's probably one of my bigger learnings.
Totally. So if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for everyone to connect?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have our website, pickass.com.au, and on social media at pickass.media, and Steven at pickass.com.au is my email. So just get in touch anywhere online. We're super available and more than happy to chat and help with anyone.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time.
No worries at all, Tristan. It was great to chat.
Cheers.
That's a wrap. Thanks for tuning into The Growth Equation. If you've enjoyed the show, hit that subscribe button and leave a review. It helps us big time. Catch you next time. And if you want more, head over to evolvetogrow.com.au for show notes and exclusive content.